us to find in every hour, in every thought, in every flower, a joy that spans eternity, the truth that makes us ever free. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways. Oh, Master, may thy joy fill our days. Oh, Master, may thy wisdom guide our ways.
Feet, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret, in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. I invite you to imagine that you're offering the blossoms of your devotion to Yogananda ji and Sri Yukteswar ji today as we celebrate their Mahasamadhis.
Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them at thy feet. Listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song, listen to my soul song, listen to my heart song. In secret in my soul, I will gather blossoms for thee, dipping them in devotion. I will lay them
We'll take this next chant into meditation.
God, Christ who rules. 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 God, Christ who
Sit up straight. And bring your focus to the point between the eyebrows. Feel yourself gazing out towards infinity. And take a moment and breathe into the heart center, the open, loving, devotional heart. And feel Master smiling in your heart. Feel Sri Yukteswarji smiling in your heart. As we call out to them, reveal yourself, laying the flowers of our devotion at their precious feet. If you feel to, you can practice the Hamsa mantra. We'll meditate for 5 minutes. The affirmation this week is on forgiveness. Forgiveness is the sword of victory. When we forgive those who seek to hurt us, we rob them of their very power to do us harm. Better still, if they respond with love, they will unite their strength to ours, and so our strength becomes doubled. But forgiveness should not be given primarily for its effect on others, but rather for the freedom it affirms in our own hearts. Let no outward circumstance condition your inner happiness. Be not pleased merely when man is pleased. Be pleased rather when you feel God's pleasure in your heart. Now, repeating in a loud voice this affirmation. All that befalls me is for my good.
All that befalls me is for my good.
I welcome any hurts that I receive
I welcome any hurts that I receive
as opportunities to grow in understanding.
opportunities to grow in understanding.
Now, in a normal tone, all that befalls me is for my good.
All that befalls me is for my good.
I welcome any hurts that I receive
I welcome any hurts that I receive
as opportunities to grow in understanding.
as opportunities to grow in understanding.
And now, in a whisper, to take this to the subconscious, all that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. And now repeat silently, staying in the subconscious. All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. And repeating silently again, but this time with rising aspiration. Please focus at the spiritual eye. All that befalls me is for my good. I welcome any hurts that I receive as opportunities to grow in understanding. And please pray silently. Lord, how often the hurts that I've sustained in life have grieved me. Strengthen my power of love, that I surrender all things to thee, my eternal friend.
And now we'll have this week's reading.
So good morning, everyone. We're doing the microphone dance here. This is a reading from Rays of the One Light, weekly commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. Week 10, Dogmatism versus Common Sense. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. In the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 7, Jesus warns, "Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravening wolves. Ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns and figs of thistles? Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit. A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit. Wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them." Jesus here, as indeed many times during his teachings, counsels people to use their God-given common sense and not to rely on high-flown but undemonstrable claims. Common sense goes beyond abstract reason, for it is rooted in actual experience. Even common sense, however, is deficient when the judgment called for goes beyond sensory experience. Ultimately, what he emphasized always, therefore, was intuitive perception. Thus, he expected more of his disciples than crude common sense, and often scolded them for being too literal-minded, as he did elsewhere when they thought his statement, "I have meat to eat that ye not know of," meant that he had steaks or sandwiches secreted about his person. His reference, of course, was to spiritual, not material substance. Words, even though appearing in the scriptures, are not substitute for direct perception of truth. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says in the 2nd chapter, the sage who knows God has as little need for the scriptures as one might have for a pond when the whole land is covered in flood. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind.
People at home to see this beautiful photograph of Yogananda ji and Sri Yukteswar ji, which was taken in India in 1936 when Yogananda made his return home after being in America for over a decade, close to 15 years. And it's just such a beautiful reminder of their beautiful relationship, the guru and the disciple relationship, which of course we all are benefiting from through our relationship, our attunement. Put that back. And I'll start out with a beautiful reading that Master wrote, beautiful poem, and it really describes this beautiful vibration of discipleship that we benefit from. When I am only a dream, I come to tell you all of him and the way to encase him in your bosom, and of the discipline that brings his grace. Those of you who have asked me to guide you to my beloved's presence, I warn you through my silently talking mind, or speak to you through a gentle, significant glance, or whisper to you through my love, or loudly dissuade you when you stray away from him. But when I shall become only a memory, or a mental image, or silently speaking voice, when no earthly call will ever reveal my whereabouts in unplumbed space, when no shallow entreaty or stern stentorian command will bring from me an answer, I will smile in your mind when you are right. And when you are wrong, I will weep through my eyes, dimly peering at you in the dark, and weep through your eyes, perchance. And I will whisper to you through your conscience, and I will reason with you through your reason, and I will love all through your love. When you are able no longer to talk to me, read my whispers from eternity. Eternally through it, I will talk to you. Unknown, I will walk by your side and guide you with invisible arms. And as soon as you know my beloved and hear his voice in silence, you will know me again more tangibly than you knew me on this earth plane. And yet when I am only a dream to you, I will come to remind you that you too are not but a dream of my heavenly beloved. And when you know you are a dream, as I know now, we will be ever awake in him. That's a stunning piece of literature and a stunning promise from our guru as to his presence in our life, his presence through our attunement to guide us through our lives. It's such a beautiful sentiment. So we're celebrating the Mahasamadhi today, the conscious exit of the physical body of Sri Yogananda Ji and his guru Sri Yukteswar Ji. Yogananda on March 7th in 1952 was at a banquet for the Indian ambassador who was visiting California at the Biltmore Hotel. And Yogananda had said that he wanted to leave the body with his shoes on and speaking of his beautiful country. And he was reading the poem, My India, when he took his last breath at the very end of the poem and left his body. That was 72 years ago. And there's a beautiful chapter in Swami Kriyananda's The New Path, chapter 38. If you have time this week to read it, it's a beautiful account of those last few days of Master's life. And Sri Yukteswar left the body on March 9th in 1936, and that was 88 years ago. And the picture that I showed you shows Yogananda with his guru during that time before he left his body. It's beautiful. And we're really blessed by our attunement. You know, all of us wish that we could be with Yogananda in person. You know, we've all had that, what if I had been at Mount Washington, or what if I had been in that circle of people at that time? And that would have been a tremendous blessing. And the truth is, we may have been with Jesus and Yogananda and any of our gurus in different incarnations. But in this incarnation, we're actually blessed by not being in the physical presence of the guru, because we have had to cultivate such great discipline to find that attunement and to tune into that vibration. And that attracts God's grace. So that's such an incredible blessing that in this incarnation, we were drawn to the guru's vibration without him being in the physical body. And then through our own love and devotion, we've spent all of this time tuning into that vibration and allowing that to guide our lives. So that's truly a blessing for us. Swami Kriyananda said, I'm going to read something. While Master was living, there was always the delusion that while I could feel him in my heart, his body was over there, perhaps sitting in the next room. It was hard to separate the Master's body from his overarching consciousness. When he left his body, it was easier to keep his presence wholly in my heart. So as human beings, it's really difficult for us to understand omnipresence, that concept of God being everywhere with all of us at the exact same time. Because we're human beings and we experience the material world through the senses, that's a little bit difficult for us to really comprehend. And I had an experience of that myself it was in 2017. I went on an Indian pilgrimage, and with Ananda, of course, and it was called In the Footsteps of the Masters. And we went to all the holy sites that we read about in Autobiography of a Yogi. And one of the places we visited that I was really looking forward to was Sri Yukteswar Ji's ashram in Puri, his summer ashram. And when Sri Yukteswar passed away, he was in the lotus pose. And Yogananda came, and Yogananda and some other disciples dug a hole in the sand and buried him in the lotus position in the garden of that ashram. So we were going to go to that holy site. They built a beautiful mandir, moksha mandir, over that site. And I was really, really looking forward to that, thinking about how powerful that vibration would be of being in that, place where Sri Yukteswar was buried. And, the pilgrimage was 3.5 weeks, really long time. And that was the only time during the pilgrimage that I could not meditate. So we got to the location. I was very physically uncomfortable. It was very hot. There were lots of people. We were kind of all crowded in. I just couldn't get my body settled. And I tried to meditate for about 20 minutes and my mind was just restless. So I finally got up and I moved to a different part of the complex, and I just sat in front of a garden and I was able to relax. Well, the other people on the pilgrimage talked about how powerful their meditation was and how deep and how magnificent. And I just felt like such a failure. And I felt so sad. And I thought, Sri Yukteswar Ji, I guess I'm not in a tune with you. But what happened to me when I was sitting in his mandir, I had a very strong voice come into my head that says, I am not here. And that was actually the thing that startled me, and I got up and left. Well, what happened a week later we were at Yogananda's boyhood home on 4 Gapar Road in Calcutta. And this is a very interesting thing. Sri Yukteswarji was a brother disciple to Yogananda's father. They both had Lahiri Mahashaya as their guru. And then, of course, Sri Yukteswar was Yogananda's guru. So Sri Yukteswar spent quite a bit of time in Yogananda's home. He would come for Sunday dinner. He would come to meditate with the family. He would often spend the night there. So I was meditating in a room that had a bed that sometimes Sri Yukteswar would sleep on, and very unexpected, because I was really trying to tune into Yoganandaji. I felt this huge explosion of Sri Yukteswar in my heart, in my spiritual eye, like just so much love. And I heard very clearly, I am here. And I think for me, because many of us have this issue, the ego is the soul identified with the body. And that's been something I've struggled with throughout my life, that trying to make that separation between the physical body and the soul. And that was a lesson that I had to get, and I've had different lessons like that in my life, but that was the lesson that I needed to get during that pilgrimage from Sri Yukteswar to really teach me about omnipresence. So I was so focused on his physical body being buried in the sand that I sort of forgot that that's not what we're tuning into. We're tuning into this vibration of love and joy and hope, peacefulness that we get from our attunement. And that's really the most important part of discipleship, is that great attunement. So today's reading is about dogmatism. And dogmatism is a human construction. It's the opposite of intuitive experience. And this path is all about individualized, intuitive experience. Dogmatism tells us that we can only worship God in one way. Yogananda teaches us that we can meet God in our hearts in the way that's unique to us. And because of these beautiful teachings, because we have the Hong Sa technique, the Kriya technique, we have chanting, we have japa, each one of us, according to our temperament and our personality and our karma, can have our own precious, loving relationship with the divine. And that's what Yogananda asks us to do, is to really cultivate that inner love for God within ourselves. And my relationship to God will be different than yours. Each one of us has our own specific way of relating to that beautiful energy in our life. And this past, I guess it's been 2 weeks now, Inner Renewal Week was so beautiful. And if you haven't seen the recordings, please go on to ananda.org, because it was free this year, which is such a gift to all of us. And the entire week was dedicated to embrace your Dharma, and Dharma as your path to liberation. And Dharma is an individualized expression of our love for God. And it was wonderful to hear Jyotish and Devi speak, and all the people on the panel had a different way of interpreting what Dharma meant to them. It was quite lovely. And when I was listening to some of the talks, it made me think of, I work with kids at the Children's Hospital, and each one of the children has an IEP, which stands for Individualized Educational Plan, because they're hospitalized, their school gives them a plan. Anyone who's in teaching knows what that is. It's something that the US government actually guarantees each child in public school has access to if they need extra help. And when you think about that, each one of us has an individualized educational plan with the guru. And that's so beautiful that every single one of us has our own challenges. We each have our own way of meeting God. And the guru guides every single one of us in exactly the way we need to be guided. That every experience that happens to us, everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, the uncomfortable, everything God gives to us as an opportunity for further spiritual growth. And especially as disciples, we're only here to grow and transform ourselves. I feel like for me, my experience with Sri Yukteswar that day was one of my individual educational plans to let go of that focus on the physical body. And Yogananda promised, he said, to those who think me near, I am near. And that's really what we're doing with our devotion, our intuitive perception. It comes from love and tuning into the vibration of the guru. It's wonderful to read books of other disciples. Swami Kriyananda, of course. It's so beautiful to read the path and listen to his experience. And then, of course, there's others that lived with Yogananda, like Kamala, and many others. Sri Gayamata wrote God Alone. And also, recently, I read this beautiful book from Nayaswami Anandi. It's so beautiful. And she talks about her beautiful relationship with Swami Kriyananda, but also her relationship with Master. And, going back to this concept of individual educational plan from God, it's so beautiful to read these stories because you realize that really Master was different with every disciple, the way that he educated them, the way that he disciplined them, the way that he showed them love. He gave everybody what they needed. Anyway, there was something in this book that just made my heart leap, and I'd like to read it. This is Nayaswami Ananda's writing. And this is in a letter that she wrote to Yogananda. When a ship is taken into pure water, the barnacles drop off. Similarly, when God allows a devotee to live in the pure spiritual water that surrounds a guru, faults disappear without effort. So that one little sentence just brought this explosion to me in my heart. My father was a commercial fisherman. He had a 42-foot wooden trawler that he kept in Newport, Rhode Island. And every year he and my uncle would navigate the boat from Newport Harbor all the way to the Warren River, and they would dry dock the boat in Barrington. This was a huge event for our family. My brother and mother and I would go down and go look at the boat as soon as it got dry docked. And I remember once when I was a little girl, we were looking at the hull, the bottom of the boat, and it was completely covered in barnacles. And I remember saying to my father, "Are you going to paint over the barnacles?" And he said, "Oh, no, we have to scrape the barnacles off and repair the damage and sand, and then we'll paint, because the barnacles cause drag. They make the boat go slower, and we have to use more fuel if we keep the barnacles on the boat." And then he said to me, if we were in the Chesapeake Bay, we wouldn't have to do this. I could just navigate the boat from the salt water into the fresh water and the barnacles would fall off. So when I read this from Nayaswami Anandi, it really just brought me right back to that moment, such a beautiful moment with my dad. And when you think about it, our ego tendencies, that's our barnacles. We have these barnacles, and that's our drag. Those are the things that keep us held back. They keep us from really experiencing God. But when we tune into the guru, we're in that pure, fresh water. The barnacles fall off in the fresh water, not in the salt water. So when we cling to the guru, when we keep our attunement high, that we're in that beautiful vibration, and without having to scrape or sand or be aggressive with those things that no longer serve us, through that divine attunement, they start to simply fall away. And the longer we're on this path, we start to notice really profound changes within ourselves that happen just through this beautiful attunement. I'd like to read one more thing before we end. Master, before he passed, told his disciples, "My body shall pass, but my work shall go on, and my spirit shall live on. Even when I am taken away, I shall work with you all for the deliverance of the world with the message of God. Those who come to me seeking inward spiritual help shall receive what they seek from God. Whether they come while I am in the body or afterward, the power of God through the link of our gurus shall flow into the devotees just the same and shall be the cause of their salvation. The ever-living Babaji has promised to guard and guide the progress of all sincere devotees. Lahiri Mahashaya and Sri Yukteswarji, who have left their physical forms, and I myself, even after I have left the body, all will ever protect and direct sincere devotees." So isn't that an incredible promise from the gurus, that they're promising to direct us, to educate us? Again, that individual educational plan. All we have to do is keep our attunement in their vibration. Their aura, their vibration is this unbelievable power of light and love and peace. And if we keep ourselves in that aura, then we too will become like them. And that really is the promise. I wasn't going to read this, but I'll read one more. This is a letter that Rajasi, a letter to Rajasi after Sri Yukteswar's death. This is what Yogananda wrote about his guru, Sri Yukteswar, to honor him today. There is just a thin screen of ether between the world and Master. He is more real to me than ever and of great influence, for he is guiding me without the impediments of a body and worldly limitations. Whenever I have arrived at a crossroad in my life, he has torn the ether as with a knife and shown himself unto me. All that he said during his lifetime on earth is repeating within me now. Yogananda, I am not only in Serampore, but everywhere, and from omnipresence I shall guide thee. So that's the message today as we celebrate the Mahasamadhi of our masters, that they are with us at all times. And the more we pray, the more that we practice our contemplative practices, our meditation techniques, practice japa, we chant, we start to pierce the ether of that veil, and we start to have a direct experience them in our hearts. Okay.
Please take what you would like to give, place it in your right hand, and repeat after me. Divine Mother,
Divine Mother,
we offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
we offer to thee the fruit of our labors.
Bless this offering,
Bless this offering,
that it serve as a channel of thy light
that it serve as a channel of thy light
to truth-seeking souls everywhere.
to truth-seeking souls everywhere.
Om.
Om.
This is the prayer of Saint Francis that Swami put to music. Lord Most High,